Morning children, welcome back to the social session. Children, in the previous lesson we have learnt in between 7th century to 12th century what were the new kingdoms emerged and what were the new dynasties and who were the new kings, those who have emerged, the way they have ruled, that is their administration, and many other things regarding the socio-economic conditions present in the society, and temple being the center of the entire administration. We have seen all these things under the Chola kingdom and even about the Rashtrakutas and Gurjara Pratiharas. Now let us move on to 1000 to 1300 AD. Between these years, what was the kind of kingdoms present all over the country? So you might have learned or you might have listened to, have you ever listened to a ballad? What is a ballad? It's a song, a narration or a song which is told in the form of a poet in small stanzas, or otherwise the stories relating to the brave men or relating to the martial arts of a Brahmanayud. Have you heard of it? No, you never? Or otherwise, have you ever participated in the Jataras? The Jatara which is held in our place, that is Sammakka and Sarakka Jatara. You never? So who are these Sammakka and Sarakka? Originally they are the human beings. They were the people who lived in this region between 1100 to 1300, and these are the people who fought against to the kings of Kakatiyas in order to protect the rights of the tribal people. In the same way, you also might have heard about the great animal herder called as Katamanayudu or Katamaraja. He fought against the Nellore kings for the rights over the animal herders. Against to the kings he fought in order to protect the rights of the animal herders. And these all things, why I was trying to tell you is because all these stories relate to the period from 100 to 1300 AD. 1000 AD to 1300 AD. Between this period only all these stories, whether it is Sammakka Sarakka story, whether it is a story of Katamaraju, whether it is a story of Palanati Virula Katha, or whether it is a story of Brahmanayudu, these all stories which we are learning today or which are told by our forefathers to the children at the time of night sleeping. So those all belong to this period only, 1000 to 1300 AD. This is a very important period in the history of India, and in the previous chapters we read about the new kings and kingdoms that have emerged all over India during this period. And these rulers have sought to establish kingdoms over small agricultural families or agricultural settlements, and they tried to enable to settle down the animal herders as agriculturists. So they wanted to make the animal herders generally move from one place to another place. Who is the animal herder here? Who is a herder? Somebody who takes these animals for the food, for grazing, are called as animal herders. And they move from one place to another place along with the sheep and goats, isn't it? For grazing. So these animal herders got settled down at a single place, and they started emerging, those places started emerging as a new kingdoms. And they are being ruled by small kings. So it was during that period that these ambitious warriors and kings fought against each other, and it was during that period the emergence of the new kingdom called as the Kakatiyas had arose in Warangal. So as we all belong to the same place, we are going to learn about the history of our place between 1000 AD to 1300 AD. That was the Kakatiyas ruled this area. So learning about the Kakatiyas, you must also know that for the first time in the literature of Telugu, the poetic work was done according to the tradition. Srimad Andhra Mahabharatamu was the first poetic work which was composed by the Kavitrayamu. What's the first Telugu poetic work? It is Srimad Andhra Mahabharatam. Who composed this? This is composed by Kavitrayamu. Trayamu means three. Kavitrayamu. Kavi means poet. Trayamu means three. Three poets composed this one. Who those are? Nannaya, Tikkana, and Erra Pragada. These three people are called as Kavitrayamu. And these Kavitrayamu people have composed the first Telugu poetic work called as Srimad Andhra Mahabharatam. Please remember this. This is one of the most important work in the history of Telugu literature. And according to the inscriptions, what are inscriptions, children? We are coming across this word many times. What are inscriptions? Inscriptions are nothing but they are carved on the stone. The information which has been carved on the stone are called as inscriptions. Even if you go to our 1000 Pillars temple, you will find many inscriptions, the written on the stone. Those writings are called as inscriptions. Before the inscriptions, we have read about Prashasti in our previous lesson. Prashastis. What are these? The invocation part of an inscription is called as the Prashasti. Invocation part means that which tells about the king and exaggregating words about the king, to which period he belongs to. That information, when it is present, it is called as Prashasti. The opening part of an inscription is called as Prashasti. Inscription are the writings on the stone or on the wild palm leaves are called as inscriptions. Generally, these inscriptions are found while conducting excavation because they belong to 1000 and 1200 AD, and when the excavations are conducted by the archaeologists, these inscriptions were found. And there are inscriptions relating to the Kakatiyas also found in different places of this region, and especially in 1000 Pillars temple also we find. We are very near, opposite to our school there is a 1000 Pillars temple. In this temple also we can find these inscriptions. When you visit this temple, definitely ask for your teacher to show the inscriptions. And apart from there, Bayaram, at Bayaram also they found the inscription at Palampet. Palampet is nothing but the place where Ramappa temple is located is Palampet, and Pillalamarri, Nagulapadu, Kondapatti and Brudpur. These are the places which tell about the activities of the kings, queens and chiefs, farmers, herders, and even about the traders. And there are also a number of books written about the activities of these people in the Sanskrit and Telugu language. And if you look at some of the books written during the period of Kakatiyas, the most important poetic work which was done by Vidyanatha during the period of Kakatiya rule was Prataparudra Yasho Bhushanam. It is written by Vidyanatha. A book written by Vidyanatha is Prataparudra Yashobhushanam. This is a book written during the Kakatiyas rule. And even after the Kakatiyas rule also many books were written which tell about the activities of traders, activities of the animal herders, farmers, kings, queen and many other people. Those books are the Vinukonda Vallabhacharya's Kridabiramamu, okay, and even we also have another one written by Ekamranta's Prataparudra Charitram. Charitramu means the history of Prataparudra. This is written by Ekamranta, and this Kridabiramamu is written by Vallabhacharya, Vinukonda Vallabhacharya. These are written after the Kakatiyas rule, but during the Kakatiyas rule only the Vidyanatha has written Prataparudra Yashobhushanam. And according to these books or inscriptions or literature, the literary work, the Kakatiyas traced their lineage to a person called as Durjaya, and they had adopted Telugu as their favored language in their courtyard. In their court they have adopted Telugu. These are the first kings who adopted Telugu as their favored language. And most of their inscriptions are in Telugu only. The inscriptions are nothing but the writings on the stone are called as inscriptions. So they have mentioned themselves as Andhra Rajas. Andhra Rajas. They mentioned themselves as Andhra Rajas. They also sought to bring together the three regions in which Telugu was spoken, the present coastal Andhra, Rayalaseema and the Telangana region. In this manner, the Kakatiyas tried to build a Telugu regional consciousness. To some extent, the Telugu regional consciousness was built by these people only for the first time during the 1000 to 1300 AD. Until then, there was no Telugu language importance seen, but after the composing of Srimad Andhra Mahabharatam, after Kakatiyas adopted the Telugu language as a favored language and bringing all Telugu speaking people together, they have built a kind of unity among the Telugu speakers. And to some extent they were also successful in this regard, and even to this day they are remembered fondly in this region for the unity which they have brought among the Telugu speakers. The early members of the dynasty began their career as a warriors, and they were also the they were Samanta Rajus. Samanta means subordinate kings to the Chalukyas and even to the Rashtrakutas, which we have seen in the earlier class of new kings and kingdoms. So it was they held the post of village head called as Rattadi. This is the post which were held by the earlier Kakatiya kings under the Rashtrakutas as well as the Chalukyas. So these Rattadis, through their military skills, they also became the army chiefs, and slowly they had become the Samantas gradually. And they also gradually gained control over Hanumakonda, the present place where we are living now. They have slowly gained their control over this region of Hanumakonda in Telangana. The Kakatiyas emerged as independent rulers after the fall of the Western Chalukyas. When Western Chalukyas have come to an end, their kingdom has come to an end, then immediately Kakatiyas had established their complete independent rule by making Warangal as their capital. So tomorrow we shall learn about who are the important rulers of this dynasty, like Rudradeva, Ganapati Deva, Rudramadevi. These all people we shall see in the next class.